Hello YouTube and welcome to the Miniature Construction Company. Now the subject of this video is basically concerning weathering. Now it's something I've wanted to do for a long time but not quite plucked up the courage to do so. But there's one benefit of living in the UK when it piddles it down constantly is you've got plenty of time indoors on your hands. So I thought I'd have a go. Watched a couple of tutorials on YouTube as you do, had a quick circle around in the loft to find my old Humbrol paints which I've used in the past to weather model aircraft, and basically had a go. Now I'm just going to show you or go through with you some of the basic techniques that I used. It's not particularly difficult, and this is my first attempt in over 10 years, and I don't think it turned out too bad. It's not quite finished, it needs touching up here and there in some areas, and I've yet to finish the truck bed, but so far it's going pretty well. Now I've only actually used 4 colours. The first being I've got a Humbrol matte black number 33. To make up a wash you basically have to have some thinners, and I use like a little jam jar lid. You put a couple of drops of paint in, you put a few drops of the thinners in, and what you're after is like almost like an ink, inky consistency. Then all I would do is dip my brush in it and then lightly smear the truck with the wash. You can get into, the wash has an effect of, it naturally settles in all the panel lines, so you get definition on the doors, on the bodywork. It sticks in the radiator and these louvres around the side, and really gives the model depth. You have to be careful though, because you can very easily wash it off. So what I tended to do was wash over it, let it dry as best I can, and then if I needed any more black wash in any particular area, I could then dab it on with the brush. The next step was using this, which is Humbrol's matte 113, I think it's rust. It's a rust matte colour. I don't know if you can see there, the light isn't very good at the moment because, like I say, I seem to be permanently stuck indoors. But I just affected some spots on the roof, around the wheel arches, anywhere basically that you think rust would settle, in the corners of the windows. Spot it around the base of the indicators. You can smear it so you get a line. Now to get the runs, what you're best to do while the paint's still wet is, if you get a small brush, something like that, and you dip it in thinners and then dry the brush on a paper towel or something. If you then gently sort of rub it over the spot of rust paint you've applied, you get a streak, which is indicative of, obviously, when rust runs it tends to stain and tends to spread out to the surrounding area. So rather than have a hard edge to it, if you well, almost dry brush some thinners over it very gently, you can get it to spread and look as though it's run down the bodywork. And I think you'll agree it's not done a bad job. It's pretty good, really. I'm pretty pleased with it. The next step was I highlighted it with almost like a light rust brown. It's matte number 62 in the Humbrol enamels. And I got a toothpick and dipped it in the paint and very lightly just highlighted some of the areas of the rust that I'd already applied. So if you can see that there, just dabbed it around the corners just to give it another layer of tone, and sort of semi-repeated these two processes as well for the wheels, to make them look grubby and used. Just move these out of the way. Now the last bit of highlighting I did, which you can probably see there on the fuel tank, was to use metallic number 11 silver, and when dry brushed, well, basically dip the brush in the paint, wipe as much of it off as you dare, and then you can dry brush it on to corners, in this case sort of door handles, anywhere to basically highlight wear and tear as you would get normally. You know, if you touched a metal door handle constantly, eventually it'd wear through the paint and you'd see the metal underneath. And I basically went round all the edges, all the mirrors, all the door handles, all the lines along the bodywork, and gently dry brushed on some silver paint. And that, again, that has an effect of just adding another dimension to the weathering, and sort of it almost brings out the lines of the truck. I did it on the bumper, around the winch housing here, and it just makes everything, it just brings everything out, makes everything pop, all the panel lines, etc. One of the final things that I did was to try and rust the frame rails. It's very tricky, but I don't know if you can see there. Same sort of thing again. I applied a matte layer of paint, and then got my matte number 113 rust and just blobbed it all over the bottom and the top and in the middle. Got some thinners, and then dry brushed the brush that was coated in a small amount of thinners along the paint, and just to get it to run and make as though make streaks on the frame. And as you can see, like I say, I think it turned out pretty well. I mean, the images that I took outside are a lot better. It's terribly dark in here at the moment, and for some reason my camera's decided to play up, so if I try and have it on a different setting, it flashes consistently. I haven't quite finished it yet. Like I say, the truck bed is in the process of being weathered. After they're completed, what I shall do is coat the whole thing in a matte varnish to protect it, and so obviously when you handle it, it won't come off, and it should be semi-permanent. I hope you found this short video of some interest. if you like what you've seen, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and do feel free to subscribe. Thanks for watching.